Guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome to agent training. I feel like I say the same thing every day at the beginning of agent training. So tomorrow I'm gonna try to come with like something spicy to say. But anyway, it's Wednesday. We're here with Crystal White. Literally, what could be better than that? Steph, that dance was everything. Thank you for that. I love it. Yeah, without further ado, Crystal, I'm going to hand it over to you to talk about the buy side.
Yay. When it's time, am I able to share my screen? Oh, yep, I see the option.
Yeah, girl, I got you.
I just want you guys to know I am getting more and more techie and smart every day that I'm around Rosie and Michelle and Gigi. I'm getting better and better and better. So, good morning, guys. Good morning. Um, And for those of you that were able and you were willing and daring enough to show your screen, I see it. I like it. I love seeing your faces. But sometimes I know it's not going to happen. I get it. It's okay. So I want to give you as much as I can really quickly so that we can open it up for questions to see what questions you may have. Um, I do want to start off by saying, and some of you that have kind of worked with me and met with me, you know, you'll hear me say the same thing over and over again because I know at some point one day you're going to really actually hear what I said. And it might not be the first or second time. And so I am all about you creating a machine, creating a routine that will build a machine so you can drive the dream. And what I mean by that is when you do the same thing over and over and over again, you work that muscle. And when you work that muscle can start to do what you needed to do without you thinking about it. So when we start thinking about, well, it's my friend, so I'll say this to them. Well, it's an older couple, so I'll say this to them, or they're kind of experienced, they bought a house before, I'll say this to them. You cheat yourself, you rob yourself of the opportunity to create a routine that'll drive the machine that can literally take you to your dream, whatever your goal is in real estate or whatever that is. And so what that looks like is you don't have to think about what am I going to say because you already know it. You guess what you get to focus on? Who is in front of me? Who is this person? What is their interaction? How are they receiving what I'm saying? And that's what I want you to get the gift of. That is why I believe in buyer guides so much. That is why that's going to be the most of what I'm going to talk to you about because it's a system, it's a routine. So today, like for example, we just wake up and stuff happens, right? I'm going to use nice language and say stuff. So last night, so I got my bathroom, my son's bathroom remodeled. It was the house, last bathroom in the house that had not been remodeled. And I was very excited. I went through a lot. Many of you that have been coaching with me, you know, I would show up and be like, whoo, just got in the office because I had to let the contractors in. Like it was a whole thing, right? We got through that. And I did all of this. I spent all this money so I can take a bath. That was why. Because my bathroom is converted over to a big old full amazing shower. So there's no tub. So long story short, I finally take a bath last night. Like it was amazing. And then my kids start yelling, saying, Mom, there's water coming through the ceiling. Right? So fast forward this morning, the guys are here to, to fix that and to make it all good. But silver lining, because Crystal White always will come through with a silver lining. After dropping my son off at school this morning, meeting them here and all of that, it could have been like, oh my God, I wanted to show up for you guys the way you deserve for me to show up, right? I wanted to give you my best, give you my energy. And the reason I can do that is because I'm not worrying about what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Because the preparation allows me to give myself to you, right? So now it might get a little loud in the background and I might have to shift over whatever. So you guys are going to have to be flexible with me because they are physically in here getting fixing, making everything right. But it's okay because it's not a catastrophe, because I know what I'm going to say. I'm already prepared. And that's what I want you to get mainly more than anything today. The work you do behind the scenes, the work you do of figuring out what is my buyer guide going to be, all of that. Some of you may feel like, I just want a buyer. Well, what are you going to do with them? What are you going to do when you get it? The work you do now will serve you during that time when you meet with them so that you can be present to them. And I think that is one of the greatest gifts and strengths I've had in sales over the last many years. And that is, I am big on scripts. I used to think they were so cheesy, but I love them because it allows you to fully engage with who is in front of you, and it allows you to connect with them. But I promise you, if you are worrying about what am I going to say, it is almost impossible for you to make a quick connection the way I want you to eventually be able to connect with your clients. When you're not worrying about what you can say, you can look at, is she receiving me? Is she appreciating this? Are they getting it? And so forth, right? And so hopefully you guys are with me. You understand, you get it. I don't have to drive the point home anymore. And you guys know I'm very visual. So I like nods, or I like those looks like we're not getting that. So I can go back and redo it. Okay. If you have any questions, please write them to the side, because I'm going to try to blow through this, and then that way I can see all your screens, and I'm not going to be the big screen anymore, and I can see your faces and I can answer your questions. So when you are, I'm going to literally walk you through what happens when someone reaches out and says, hey, somebody referred me to you, or hey, I just called and your listing at such and such. I'm curious about it. I'm going to walk you through really quick what happens down to us sitting down and what that looks like. Before I do that, I want you to know, because obviously I'm going to go through my buyer's guide, and I don't think that it's like the Bible or like it's something magical. I'm going to give you some concepts from it and how I utilize it. It's just a tool, but I want to give you some tips on how I utilize it. And when you create yours, because that is my call to action for you, is that you create yours, and that you do not spend 2 months trying to perfect it, because that's not what is needed. Perfection is not needed, but that you create a tool knowing that it is ever evolving, that if I need to go back and tweak it later, months down the road, I will. But for right now, I need to get something that's good and something that I feel good with, that I can run with. Here's some things that I actually got back feedback from a new buyer who actually showed up at my buyer consult with this, like, and all of this information in it. This is his company. And this is why I had no idea who he was. He was a referral. But as you can see, he is very organized, right? Like, this is what he does for a living. This is his company. And this is the feedback he gave me just yesterday. And I thought, how timely is this for my training? He's a cash buyer. And what he told me, I won't share all his information, but he is going through a little bit of a stage that in 50s, he's fallen in love for the first time. And he is definitely a ladies' man. He has always been the guy. And he doesn't know if his woman is going to move in with him or not. And it is driving him crazy. So he doesn't know if he needs a $200,000 house or $400,000, because if it's $250, he's doing cash. If it's $400, he wants my lender. But he's like, I cannot get her to commit. Like, I need to know. I'm telling you all this because what he told me yesterday when he called to follow up with me, he said, Crystal, I want you to know that you make me feel so comfortable. I would die if people knew I was having these feelings right now. Like, nobody would believe me and I would literally die. He said, but you make me feel so comfortable. And I can't believe I told you all that stuff, but you laughed and you made me laugh. And now you're making me laugh about the situation now. And what I want you to know, it's not because I have some magical crystal ball, but it is because I am able to be fully engaged and present at the moment because I feel comfortable. Does that make sense? So your content needs to make you feel comfortable. So then he went on to tell me, and by the way, you're not just good at what you do, but you have made it to my short list of people that I will refer. He said, because I do not refer people often because that's my name. And the reason I will refer you, and he told me, you gave me visual content when we were meeting. You gave me a takeaway to walk away with. He told me that you were very informative. In fact, he said, I knew it was a good meeting because when I came in, I had tons of questions and I was ready to bombard you. But you took control of the meeting. And when we were done, I had zero questions because your content covered all of my questions. Then he told me that it was convenient because you provided me with something that if I was a person who came ill prepared and I didn't have a pen or a paper, I didn't need anything because you gave me content to write on that I could walk away with and take notes on. I didn't need anything but myself. You guys, that's big. Like people usually aren't going to come back and tell you that. Like no one has done that in 5 years for me, but they do walk away with their own perception of how your time was spent with them. Does that make sense? So I want to encourage you to make sure you have visual content. It is very important, and that they're able to take it away. That's why I'm anti doing everything online and sending people things. It doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm sure if you went to another training, someone else that is very successful and effective will say, hey, I send people stuff in the email or whatever. It's just not me. My gift, you guys, is connecting with people. People love to be in my presence. And everything I do, I guarantee you, it is for that purpose. I have thought and thought and thought, how can I make this situation where I'm in front of these people, how can I make them comfortable and connect with them? It is very intentional, although I act very silly and all of that, but do know that it's very intentional. And so for me, I cannot connect with you via technology or sending you things. I can't. I need that personal contact. Everybody's doing that. I don't want to be like everybody. I want you to know me. I want you to feel me. Does that make sense? And I want to know you. I want to feel you. And I want you to remember me. And so I want you to write this down. People may not remember what you said. They may not. It's a lot of information, but people will always remember how you made them feel in your presence. How did you make them feel? Sometimes we get so caught up in the content, we're so worried about, like, I want them to feel. When they walk away, I want you to, in your mind, I want you to think, how do I want them to feel when they leave this meeting? Do I want them to feel informed? Do I want them to feel confident? Do I want them to feel connected to me? Like, or do I want them to feel educated? Like, I want you to think about what is your intention, because your intention should drive your actions, okay, of what you put together. So that is why I say the things I say and I do the things I do when I'm doing that. So we're going to jump in now. And so if someone calls me from a lead call, and this may not pertain to you guys as much yet, because you will have your listings. Maybe you don't have them yet, but they will. So if they, called, hey, I saw your listing, whatever, I am going to immediately drive them into a buyer consult, because we need to do that. Where I do the buyer consult is not as much of a important to me as the fact that I do it. I will do it at a listing if we are under fire and it's like we need to get out and see this house. You are still going to do a buyer consult with me. We may do it at the very last house we go visit after we're done. And I have done, I don't know how many in a listing, like at someone's, listing from a showing. Okay. And we've sat down and we'll still do it. But ideally, that is not how 90% of the time it happens in the office. Here's another thing to keep in mind. I am a prophet I almost said something else. Whoa, I feel real comfortable with you guys. I won't say all, but majority, I am dollar. I'm about that bottom line. What is my profit level? How much did I make? So I charge quite a bit on my listings. How much did I make? And how much did I have to pay out? And what am I netting? Because I've been in business long enough to know that the high number that everybody sees sometimes doesn't mean anything if you've paid out so much or you have worked for so little. So I'm saying that to you because I want you to understand I'm not cheap. However, I watch my bottom line. I don't do a lot of Starbucks. I don't do a lot of meeting at coffee houses. It costs me money. And then I have to worry about when I get there, are we going to get a good seat? Is it going to be loud? Are they going to feel comfortable? I do use them, but I use our office. It's professional. It doesn't cost me anything. And Platt is amazing at stocking drinks and snacks or whatever. I use it. I've for the past 5 years, wherever I work, that is what I do. I use my office a lot. So I encourage you, you don't have to feel like you have to go out and meet somebody every single time because you don't have to agree and shake your head, but it can get to be a little costly. Now, sometimes there is a coffee like you're meeting for a coffee. That's different. But when you're meeting for a buyer consult, the coffee is not really the reason you're meeting. So I just want you to know that it is okay to schedule out the conference room to use that. That's what those are for. They're for your benefit to be able to use those, okay? I do it all the time for many, many different reasons. Cost is one of them, professionalism another. I want them to connect with Platt as well. I want them to understand who we are, what we are, and everyone's always impressed with our office. It is amazing. Okay. And so someone calls me and says, Crystal, Patty gave me your number. I was wondering if you can help me and my husband buy a house. Like we need to buy a house right now. Great. First thing. That is so exciting. Ask them tell me a little bit about you. Tell me a little bit about you. Very important question you'll hear me say a lot throughout different trainings. And then I am looking forward to, let me tell you this, my next step I want to do with you is I want to get us to get to meet, number one. Number two, I would like to walk you through the buyer process so you can get an idea of what to expect when you are working with me. Not when you're buying a house, but when you are working with me, because working with me is different from working with Britt or Jacob or Jamie. You need to know what's going to happen when you're working with me with buying a house. Does that sound good? Does that sound helpful to you? I always ask that question, and then they always say, yeah, that sounds good. So then we schedule the time, we get together, and then and if it's okay with you guys, I'm just going to act like I have a buyer. I'm pulling up my, okay, I'm going to get this right. I'm going to do it. Don't want files. I just want to go to my desktop, Rosie. Okay, so I'm going to try it again. I'm going to do share screen. Oh,
Have it pulled up.
I just need to go to my screen.
There you go.
I knew that. Yay, can you guys see that? Ooh. Okay. So, so they're sitting down. So I'm just let me just pretend it'll be faster if I just pretend it's them. So tell me a little bit about you, Abby. And she tells me a little bit about her. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to get to work with you, and I want you to get a chance to get to see what you're going to expect. This buyer guide does not replace me. I want you to know that it is here for you. Some people look at the whole thing when they get home. Some people throw it away and never look at it again. It is totally fine. If you have a question from me at some point, I am not going to tell you to turn to page 4, paragraph 2. I will not do that to you. It doesn't replace me. You can always ask questions, but just know this is your tool and it's yours to do what you want. We're not going to walk through the whole book, but we are going to walk through certain pages, and I'm going to let you know which things you should go back and look at later. This is just a table of contents, just what you've always seen in any other book you've ever read. And that is just kind of tells you where to go later on to find things. Oh, I need to be able to scroll down. Hold on, guys. There we go. This page right here, guys, I don't go through a lot of the introduction anymore just because my personality is pretty big, like, and they can kind of get to know me. So I do say that to them, but I will tell them the number one thing, my number one goal to my clients is in the bold, the very last sentence that is bold, and that is giving you confidence and saving you time. My goal for you is to feel confident that every step of the way that I will provide you with facts and information that you need to make an informed decision. Never will you hear me tell you just need to do something because it's for the best. I will always support you with information. So always feel free to stop me and say, okay, I got it, Crystal, I got it. Because I probably want you to say you got it. Otherwise, I'm going to keep giving you more facts until I feel like you do have it. You're not going to offend me. I'm not easily offended, so it's okay. And so they'll typically laugh at me, but I like to make sure they know that I want them to be transparent with me. So this next page, we're not going to review this page, but I think it is very important. And if you could make a note on this or put a little dog ear, fold it back or something, I would love for you to go back and read this because I think this page is very important, the 7 benefits of home ownership. This page right here is where we're going to spend the bulk of our time and just walking you through the overview process of buying a home. This number one step at the very top is what we're doing right now, and it may require multiple steps. We are going to continue to do this step until we get you to where you need to be next. I am very orderly because I want you to be prepared for what's next. And so we'll do it for however many times we need to do it because I want to make sure you feel comfortable. I want to take a little pause, guys, and I want you to tell you, people do not run to a train that is standing still. They just don't, because there's no need to, because you can on board anytime, right? When you see people in the movies running to a train, it is moving. You guys, people want to jump and move fast with someone that is moving. Your clients need to feel like you are going to lead them. It is not being rude. It's not being pushy. It's not being arrogant. They want someone that makes them feel confident that she is going to lead me to the destination that I'm trying to get to. So you want to take leadership. And that is one of the things having a buyer consult does. Instead of you letting them, I'll call you when I need you. Excuse me? That's not how we work. We're meeting to go through your process so you know what to explain, and then I'm going to walk you through. Does that make sense? So don't feel like, well, I don't want to lose them. You guys, that is how you lose them, by just kind of being like, well, I don't want to offend them. And she'll call when she wants to go look at a house. No, they need to feel like you're going to be confident and you are going to lead them to where that they need to go. So the next thing we're going to, so after you've met with me and we get you all set up, we are going to meet with we're going to meet with a lender. And this is where I do not give them my lender's information at that time. I just explain this process. And so you'll talk with the lender to make sure that you get your pre-approval process. We want to make sure. So when you get that number from your lender, usually it's 2 different numbers. One is how much they will lend you and how much you get approved for. The second number is usually how much do you feel comfortable with paying back? Because sometimes those numbers aren't the same. I don't need to know that higher number. I just need to know the number that you and the lender agreed that you're comfortable with paying back. Because with that number, I am going to take some very important information from you, the fun stuff. How many bedrooms does your house need to have? Like how many bathrooms, all that fun stuff. I'm going to take that along with that pre-approval number you get, and I'm going to create a home search for you. And in that home search, it is going to, those homes are going to be coming to you directly. It is totally going to look like I'm working for you night and day, girl. I mean, it's going to look like you're going to be getting emails at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I would love to take the credit, but the reality is once I set that search up for you, it's automated. So I'm kind of not working for you all night. But I want to make sure that you know that, because you're going to get, when we go through your home search, you're going to tell me things like, oh my gosh, it has to be open concept, or I don't want any white cabinets. And that is cool. And it's good for me to know that. But the computer doesn't understand things like that. So when I go in, I'm going to have to put must-haves in there that are more concrete. But the beauty is I'm going to teach you how to label your homes when they come in your search. And when you look through it, if you notice this is not open concept, then you can just discard it, because it went through the search because the computer does not understand open concept. You guys, this is very important, because what you want them to do, I hear people who are aggravated with their realtors all the time say, I don't know why she sent me this. I don't know why they're sending me this stuff in these different neighborhoods, whatever. You guys, you want to make sure you let them know how the search process works, because it does look like it's you. It looks like it's coming from you in that very moment. And they're like, oh, that one you just sent me. And then I'll go back and remind them. Remember, that's automated once I set that up. And if I need to adjust something, I will. So I explain a little bit about the labeling, and then I let them know you do not have to remember all this. What's important right now is for you to hear it from me one time. So when I go back to remind you of some of these things, it is not foreign for you. So don't worry, you don't have to remember all these things. I am going to remind you of things as we get to these situations, but I just want you to have a baseline of the information. So once I create that home search and you are good, you've got houses coming in there, all the houses that you mark as favorites and possibilities, we want to get out and go see them. When we go out and start looking at homes, you're going to be looking for, where are we going to put the couch? Where will we host Christmas? All of that kind of good stuff. And I'm going to be doing two things during this time. I'm going to be listening to hear, what do you like? Because after the first or second house, I can pretty much find a house for you even without you being with me. I'm also going to be looking for possible inspection issues. I'm going to be looking to see if when I turn the faucets on, does it have signs of plumbing issues? And I'm looking in the ceiling to see if there's possible water damage. Is the foundation showing signs of issues? Is it sloped? I'm going to be are the windows functioning properly? So that's what I'm going to be doing, because that's going to be important. You guys, I share that with them because I need them to know I'm not just a door opener. I don't just open up doors so you can get in and look at houses. You want to work with me because I am doing something while we're there other than just opening up doors for you to go in and look at houses. So once you find a house that you absolutely love, we're going to write an offer up. And I always like to let you know, I work for you and not the other way around. I will not talk on your behalf without making sure it's what you want. You don't work for me. I'm the professional, but I work for you. So I'm going to always make sure I am supporting your needs. And then I will ask them, are you familiar with the term counteroffer? I get different responses. It doesn't matter if they say yes or no, it doesn't matter. I'm going to respond this way. So counteroffer is kind of like, so you send the counter over you send an offer over to the seller, and then maybe they like some of it, but they want to counter back some of the things. And it can go back and forth. I like to call this ping pong. It goes back and forth, right? Some people love ping pong, and I will play ping pong with you all day long, but this is not ping pong season. So when we get to that point, I'm going to remind you of that, but do know that I will ping pong with you all day long. Just know the danger is we are in a seller's market right now. And what that means is, for the very house that you see that you love, there's 10 other pre-approved buyers that are looking and loving that same house. So while you're playing ping pong, there is no meeting of the minds. And that means another buyer can come in and pass the ball to the seller and they never respond to you. They just start playing ping pong with this other person and maybe they just get a slam dunk and they're done. So I want to remind you, you guys, usually that visual is so good for them. And I always get a positive response and they're like, yeah. So I will get some people who will say, yeah, I don't like ping pong, or I can tell the ones who like to negotiate. And here's why this is important, you guys. You sometimes don't know who the financial advisors are in their ears, right? Sometimes it's family members that don't show up till later on or whatever. And some people have been taught, it's in their brain, you never offer what, you know, you never give what someone's offering you right off the top. Like they've been taught that by their grandparents, their parents, all their life. And so what I'm letting them know is what you've been taught to do is play ping pong, and there's a season for that. This is not that season. Okay. So that's why I really make sure I go through that as that reminder so they can kind of get that visual. So once the seller accepts your offer, happy day, we are excited. Money comes into place 3 times before you ever even close on your home. And let's go over these 3 ways because I always want my clients to be prepared. The first one is earnest money. And then I make them write. If they haven't been writing, I'm the leader, you guys. I'm the one giving them confidence. I tell them when to write. Because even if they never look at this again, when you write, it's in your brain better. So I tell them, I want you to write this under earnest money. Number 1, that is going to be due within 48 hours after the offer is accepted. Number 2, it is about 1% of whatever the purchase price is. This amount is negotiable. But I want you to understand what is the market standard, what is the industry standard, and what is expected, and that is 1%. If you want to make your offer look sweeter, you can go above that. If you don't have the ability and you don't want, you can go under it. But I just want you to know what the standard is so you know how to prepare yourself. The next thing is going to be to the left. Your home inspection. Home inspection happens, I want you to write down 3 to 5 days after your offer is accepted. And that can cost anywhere from $250 to $450. Now, when you get your home inspection, I want you to know that it's going to be at least 30 pages long. It's going to be a ton of stuff that inspector finds. That is his job. Your job is to make sure that we identify any major items. I want you to write down major repairs. That's what we're looking for. We want to ask the seller to cover any major repairs that your inspector finds, not all the other stuff, because remember, we are in a seller's market and that is not what the seller is responsible for. Okay. So the next thing I want you to do is to the right of earnest money is the appraisal. So I explain to them what an appraisal is, and I let them know that this is, you have no option. You don't have any say in this. The lender will order this, and I want you to be prepared between 10 and 12 days for this to take place. And that can cost anywhere from like $450 to $550. And depending on your lender, they may or may not have you pay it at the time they order the appraisal. Sometimes it's at closing, and then every now and then the lender that I use the most will waive my buyer's appraisal fees. And so those are those 3. And then, so I want you to understand too that earnest money is very important. This means this is the house. The only way you can get earnest money back without closing on a home is by 3 different ways, 3 different things, and I'm going to cover those. Oh, and I also explain to them my way. When I ask them, do you know what earnest money is? Sometimes you get a yeah. If they, once again, I'm looking at them. If they're kind of like, yeah, but they're saying yeah, but their body language is not saying yeah, then I'll tell them, you know what? Earnest money is like putting a house in layaway. If you were getting a $50 dress and you put $10 down to get on layaway, when you go to pick that dress up, you're going to pay $40. Same way with earnest money. It is not an extra fee. Earnest money is simply, if you were supposed to put 5% down at closing, and let's say that came to $5,000 and you put $1,000 earnest money down, then you're only going to bring $4,000 at closing. So I always get a nod and they understand that. Okay. But you cannot get that money back without closing. And I probably say that 3 to 5 times, unless one of these 3 things happen. So The number one thing is if there's a major repair that we discussed and the seller will not make that major repair, you can get out of that. You can get out of that contract, get your earnest money back, and you're back on the market looking for a house. The appraisal, if you guys agree on 200,000, it comes in under that, and the seller will not move that price. You can get your earnest money back and get back out there and find another house. The last and final way is when your file goes to underwriting. After these things are done, if for some reason that underwriter decides that they're not going to give you a final approval, you don't get the house, you can get your earnest money back. And you, of course, do not have to move forward with that. But let me tell you about this underwriter. That is the bloodhound, that is the gatekeeper. They are looking for reasons to not give you that loan. The underwriter, and let me explain the difference. Your loan officer that you used at the top for your pre-approval, they're like me. They're in sales, and they should have a bubbly personality, or they probably won't eat. They won't get any business. That's their job, to bring you in. The underwriter works for the same company as them. That underwriter, though, no one knows their name. No one can talk to them. No one can communicate with them. And their job is specifically just to see if there's any reason that they should not give you that loan. So here's why I go back. Here's why the lender is so important to me. And this is why I'm picky about who I have you use as a lender. Because if that loan officer says, yeah, we can do this, that's good, and they don't know what they're talking about, I want you to notice how much time has been spent. You have found your house, your kids have picked out the bedroom, you have told everybody, you've got a home inspection, you paid for an appraisal, all of this, only to find out that the underwriter did not, that your loan, you were not really truly pre-approved. The second thing is I want to make sure that that loan officer you're using, that you feel comfortable with them. You don't need to divulge all your personal information with me, your financials, because I don't have any money to loan you, but they do. And if for some reason you have not shared something with them, or you did not take their advice and you went and opened up a credit card or something, you can come this far and then lose it, and that house will go back on the market. So they're usually very eye-opened at this point, and it really makes sense to them who you choose as a lender is important, who that loan officer is important. I never get pushback after this with me suggesting certain lenders or who I want, because they do not want to go through all this, because it looks painful to go through all that. And when you see it in front of you, only to find out that this person didn't know what they were doing. And that happens a lot. Okay. And so once the underwriter is like, you are good, you're golden, you're good, you're going to get your exact figures for closing. And guess what? I am there the whole way through. I'm there at the closing with you. You get to meet the sellers as long as COVID allows it. I'm going to ask, so now tell us, who's the nosy neighbors? Like who is this and who is that? And I'm going to also find out when it's trash day, and we're going to make sure you get your keys and all that fun stuff. And if you choose to, you can do a final walkthrough just a day or two before you close on the house. So then I usually ask, do you have any questions on this one? And 90% of the time it's no, because as you all have experienced, it's a lot of information at one time. And so they usually don't have any questions. I've usually answered those questions. So as we're working through this, I'll just tell them, all these pages behind here, they just go through everything I said. So now when you're wanting to go back and look, just like, what was that she was talking about with earnest money? You can go back and just look at those particular things. One thing I will say, I do mention to them your monthly house payment. I think it's kind of cool. This is, it's in a little bit easier language to explain than a lot of lenders use. So I do have them go back and look at that. This page, I like to explain to them closing and closing costs. You know what the closing is now because I explained that, but I'll ask them, do you quite understand the difference between closing costs and down payment? A lot of times people don't. And if they are definitely confident, like they've bought before, then I'll just move on. But a lot of times people are like, well, I think so. And I'll explain to them, okay, here's the big difference. Closing costs are the costs that you incur to close your loan, like your mortgage lender, They charge you, the title company, they charge you to give you clean and clear title. And then there's some prepaid things in there for your home insurance, your taxes to get that escrow. Down payment is a different purse. That's a different amount of money. That is, so if your lender approves you at 95% and it was a $100,000 house, they're going to bring $95,000 to closing. You need to make up that difference with the 5,000. That's what down payment is. So those are not two things. They're two separate things, closing cost and down payment. So you may or may not be in a position where you have to ask, or you want to ask a seller to pay for your closing costs. If you did do that, that's taking care of this pot of money, not the down payment. So that's really kind of what I do to go over that with them so that they are understanding. I love to go over this with them, and I just tell them I'm a little bit inquisitive and a little bit, some people call it nosy, I call it inquisitive. I always like to know what people make and how they make it. And so people always smile really big because they always think we're just getting this big chunk of money, right? I mean, let's be clear, we do get paid very well, but sometimes they think like, way off. And so I let them know, I just want you to know, you do not have to have a realtor to buy a home. You just don't in Indiana. You can buy a house without one. And you can also go to court without having an attorney, right? But what if you have the ability to pick any attorney you wanted and you don't even have to pay them? You get to interview them, you get to pick them. Would you show up to court without that attorney? And they always go, no. And that is the same thing with having a realtor. You don't have to, but you get to have me, and you don't have to pay for me. You get to pick me, and then you get to have the sellers pay my fee. And so why wouldn't you want to have a realtor represent you? And so what I do, and that kind of covers like what I do, like what we do as far as realtors or whatever. And what I say has changed over the last few years. What I will say to you guys, you pick and choose. Your job is not to read that whole thing. And you will have clients that will go back and read that whole thing. Your thing for you, like if you had a study guide, once you create your buyer's guide, I would just highlight and keep that for me. Like, these are the ones that I want to say. These are the points I want to make. And use your kids, your husbands, use your dogs, your spouses. Use teddy bears if you have to practice those things at home. Like literally practice, when am I going to inflate my voice? When am I going to soften it? When am I going to reach in and like, guys, make it a little expressive, make it your own. But I can't tell you enough. Practice, practice, practice. Practice, exercise that muscle. Don't wait for you to get a buyer. You can do that at home yourself. Or you can do it in the mirror. If you don't have anybody around, you got teddy bears, you have a dog, whatever, you got a mirror. I know that, right? So, so then I'll tell them, how this works is, let's say the seller and his agent, they decide on a percentage. And let's say that percentage comes to $10,000. So at closing, and this is where, guys, this is important. I tell them, because as realtors, we only get paid when we close. I don't get paid for having conversations like this with you. I don't get paid for showing you homes. I only get paid when you close. And I pause because I want them to understand that. Do not think that you're going to be running me around everywhere just because you want to look in houses. I don't get paid for that. That's unfair. Does that make sense? But when we can't assume they know that kind of stuff. So that's why it's important to do that. And so I get paid when you close. When you get the keys to your house, that's when I get paid. And so when at closing, that $10,000 gets split out. Half of it goes to the buyer side, half goes to the seller side. Then it gets split again. The agent gets a percentage, and then the brokerage gets a percentage, and it happens again on the same seller side. So 4 people take their split out of that 10,000, and they usually go, oh wow, because people they they don't know what they don't know, right? So then on this page, I tell them, now I don't want you to lose your free representation of me. My job is to give you confidence, and I don't want you to lose that. And so here's some ways you can lose that. And this always gets their attention, because no one wants to lose anything, right? And so I'll tell them, number 1 is builder, circle builder. It's like the 3rd or 4th one down. I want you to circle the word builder. when you go to look at, when you go to models, and I hope you do, even if you don't plan on building, go, they're fun. Go look at the models, but always tell them you have a realtor for now on out. Because if for some reason you decide you want to build months down the road and you went and saw that builder without telling them about me, then I cannot represent you. They're not going to, even if it's at a different neighborhood, you're going to lose, you guys, and it's important with that wording, you're going to lose your free representation from me. Okay. No one wants to lose that. Okay. When you're visiting open houses, I want you to circle open house. Go to open houses. That's what they're for. They're open. Go look and have fun. Anyone that you see. But if when you get there, always make sure you tell them you have a realtor. Because if for some reason you end up liking that house and you have engaged with that realtor and did not tell them that you have a realtor without explaining the whole Indiana law, that you could end up having to let that person represent you in the sale of that home. And they're always a little shocked. And I'm like, so you don't need to change anything. The only thing you need to do is let people know that I've got your back. I'm your girl. I'm your realtor. And so then we go over here to this last one. And this is how I end this, is I want you to know, if I am in any way doing anything that makes your experience anything less than enjoyable or what you're wanting, please share it with me. If you don't feel comfortable sharing it with me directly, you can text it or email it to me, but please communicate that, because this is literally how I feed my family and how I eat. Your experience matters big time. And they'll usually be like, oh, okay, no problem, no problem. So I really do want to make sure they know that. Okay. And then I'll say, and if you've enjoyed your time, if you've enjoyed your experience with me, please share me with your family, friends, coworkers, somebody you meet in the elevator, anybody. Just tell everybody about me. They'll usually laugh or whatever, but that's my way of saying I do want your referrals, right? And so that's pretty much all I will share with that part. So then I will go back and we will talk a little bit about the next step. What is their next step? Do they need to, is the lender, and a lot of times that is the next step. Do they, here, let's talk about your lender, or it might be getting the information to create their search. And so I hope that was helpful, but that's pretty much it. That is what I do. And that is just, that's kind of it in a nutshell. They never take more than an hour. If people ask, I always usually let them know you're looking at it between 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how many questions you ask. So I let them know that it's gonna last as long as you need it to. So that's important. Okay, let me stop sharing my screen. Any questions from anybody? Any at all? Questions, comment? Go ahead, Steph.
Okay. So the home buyer guide, I was talking to a friend the other week and they were like, why don't you set up at a farmer's market? Which, like, I have mixed feelings about that. I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of not. Got a noodle on that. Right. Mm-hmm. But giving out that home buyer guide, because I would want to give something to, like, so they have a concrete thing that's like, I'm bringing value to our interaction. Now, is that something you hold close to your chest that's really only like, if you're a client of mine, you get this? Or is it like, have my homebuyer guide / you'll remember me?
Awesome. So I don't think there's a right or wrong for my style, because I am extremely hands-on and I like to hit people hard and fast. I like them to fall in love with me really fast, because I'm not going to hold their hands a lot after that.
Yeah.
So I come on really strong in the beginning, because I have a big life, a full life that I love, and I'm not going to sit there and hold your hand the whole time. So I do not hand out those guides. Those guides are at my open house. It is a great advertisement for people to feel like, wow, what is that? So it is kind of when we sit, because as I mentioned, it does not replace me. If I give you that and we have no connection or time that we're going to meet up to talk about it, then it has replaced me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And Steph, if for you specifically, we can talk at another time. There are miniature versions of that I have used when I have done outings, like when I've gone, that are not as extensive, that are talking points. And sometimes those are appropriate when you're like just like setting up at a booth or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
it definitely feels like it's a different piece of literature then.
Yeah. Good question though.
Cool.
Good one.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Britt? Yes.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. I love how organized and thorough you are. So my question is, after the consult, do you follow up to say, here's what we agreed on, or am I understanding you correctly on your needs and wants for a home when you're doing the search setup, so that there's some sort of like, here's what we discussed and what we agreed on, so that that's documented, or does that matter?
I do not do it in a way so that it's documented. I don't feel that that's wrong. I have not done that. I give very clear next steps. And so, and those are different for different people. You know what I mean? Like the different situation, or if someone wants to go meet or do something. So I have not, but I will tell you this, I think Devin Chalk is like a badass all day, that he gets buyer agency agreements on all of his buyers. I've never really did it, but I am toying around with the idea of doing that. Just because I think that is ballsy, and I just love that he does that. But as of today, I do not have anything like that is like a definite in writing type of thing, but I don't think there will be anything wrong with doing that. Okay. I just haven't had a need.
Yeah, I guess to the point of like you set up the auto search too, and then some stuff comes through that probably looks a little bit random to them. Do you follow up a couple days after to say like, have you looked at the homes in the auto search?
Yes. So if they have not been communicating back with me, then yes, I will reach out. I'm like, how's the home search looking? What are your thoughts? And then I start working with them directly on, I am a beast about labeling. I like them labeling. I teach them to really get fully engaged. 99% of the time they do it really well. And then even some of them making notes in there. So I keep them in that my board, and keep them interacting with me through that. So yes, I will definitely do that if that was our next step, is setting up a search. I do what you feel. I don't always, but 90% of the time, I don't even set up a search till we've got done with the pre-approval. I can't tell you how often that is. I need that number. I've told them that I do not want them looking at homes or even stuff coming through that is not in their price point. And I very seldom get pushback. And I think it's because I have explained the whole thing and how the whole process works. And this is how I lead you. If you choose for me to lead you, this is how I lead you to success, to getting what you want. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I think it might be helpful. Most everyone here is in our brand new group. It might be helpful to show everyone how to set up an automated search for clients.
Oh.
I don't know how to do that. So I'm guessing there's at least one of you who don't know.
Well, I think this will be very helpful in this part of saying that is in your first 90-day book, where my board, that is the training you get from my board, that they teach you how to do that, because it's not a quick little like, do this, that. Like can I get some responses on that? Most of all of you, thank you, Leslie, for the snap. Most of all of you have done that. Now, if you have a question, you can definitely let me know, but that's what you're paying those my board dues for. They're experts at it. They can walk you through while you're in your computer. I use them a lot, and that's what you're paying those dues for. So I recommend that, definitely. Yes.
That's a better option.
The one thing I would say with that is I've tried to sign up for that orientation, and there are no classes available for February, March, or April right now. And so it's just going back into, they only offer one a month, if I'm reading it right. And so if I'm doing something wrong, please let me know. They have some recorded versions that could be helpful, but there's nothing. I went in there again yesterday, and I just kept kind of hitting reset. And I was like, I want this.
Natanya, will you do me a favor? Will you call my board and confirm that that is the case? Because they will definitely, if you have to leave your message, leave your number, they'll call you back. Find out if that is the case with the once a month. And then can you specifically ask them what is their recommendation for new agents coming in if they're not able to do that? And then will you call me, will you let me know that what, and let's have a conversation, because then I can know how to lead other agents, brand new agents.
I should have an update for you tomorrow when we meet.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I can confirm.
I can tell you, yeah, from my experience. So the new agent like onboarding with MyBoard that you have to do is only once a month. But they do offer all of the trainings that we're talking about pre-recorded on YouTube.
Okay.
So those are like how to do like a CMA, how to set up a search, all of that is pre-recorded on their YouTube channel.
Thank you. Okay. And then of course, I am not saying don't call me. I'm not saying that. But what I do want you to hear me say, I'm all about, if I'm paying you something, I want you to give me my money's worth. You guys are paying my board. You're paying for their salaries. If you're in and you're watching that pre-recorded and you're like, oh, I kind of don't understand that, pick up the phone and call them. They have a help desk available till like 7 p.m. So, and the chances are you getting them while you're live in your computer in a search versus getting me, it's very likely you're going to get them. So I'm willing to help, but they're the experts and they're getting your money. You feel what I'm saying? Make them work for it. Yeah. Anybody else? Question on that? Yes, they are, Leslie. Thank you. They are very responsive. Yeah. Any other questions or comment? Oh, you guys are, yeah. Did I see a hand? Was that somewhat helpful for you guys a little bit? Tell the truth. It was. If you have questions that come up later or that you can think of, definitely feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to say it the way I started it because I believe in it so much and I'm passionate about it. We sometimes want to focus on the income producing activity, like, meeting with the buyer. Like, I just want a buyer. And that is great. And I understand that. Get your stuff together so that you can feel prepared. Please write this down. Confidence sales, not necessarily your education. People want to know that you know what the heck you're doing and you're going to lead them. If you feel confident, then they feel confident. You can fake it till you make it, but some stuff you can't fake. So everybody has their different level of education or knowledge they need to feel confident. Like I can get a little bit of something and feel like, okay, I can own this. Or if I don't, take it for a perfect example, Demetria Keys, who's on here, which is someone who I knew before Platt. She reached out to me about joining the brokerage. Most people be like, bingo, yeah, but she'll tell you, I told her, I was like, right now, I don't feel confident with what that's going to look like for you onboarding. And I can't put my name on Platt for you as a brand new agent. So I'm going to refer you to one of our team leads, and I'm going to refer you to a whole nother brokerage, different brokerage. She will tell you that, because if I'm not confident about something, I'm not trying to sell it, because my reputation is everything, right? But the moment I was like, okay, I got it. This is what happens when we onboard. This is the part I can play. I called her and she was relieved because she wanted to work with me. And then I'm like, okay, come on. You guys, you got to do whatever it takes to make you feel comfortable and feel confident, because your confidence sells. So if that means you practicing and reading scripts or whatever, do what you have to do, because I promise you, it will pay you today, tomorrow, and in the future. It will continue paying you. Confidence is key. What you cannot give, what you do not have. And if you don't have confidence, you cannot give it. Okay? So have an amazing day. You guys know that I'm here for you. And thank you for showing your faces and showing up.
Guys, one last thing. Sorry.
Yes.
I just wanted to tell you that as you're creating your buyer's guide, Michelle and I have created a lot of those resources already for you. They're all on Canva in templates, and you can just copy and paste them into your own buyer's guide. So don't do work that you don't have to if you don't want to. That's it. Bye. Have a good day.
Agreed. Bye, guys.